turned back and I looked. And there's that grizzly bear. He was looking right at me, and he came charging at us at the truck. And I remember my dad stopped, and I got scared. Like my lungs dropped. Like you hear that bear running. Like you could hear like how massive his lungs were as he was breathing. And, like when he was stomping the ground, you could feel like the tremors like coming out as his feet were hitting the ground. But no, he was coming at me. That bear was coming to kill me. And I don't know where my dad just one shot, and that bear buckled over and it flipped over. Yeah, killed that bear.
Then y'all had some bear meat to eat that night, huh?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, that was one of my crazy hunting stories when I was a kid.
Alrighty, welcome everyone to this week's Clan podcast. Your hosts are Jonathan Bielman, and next to me, my co-host is
Sonny Metcalf.
Sonny Metcalf. Yeah, what's your real name, Sonny?
Yeah, my full name, Hoksichila Chante Mayuha, or Child of My Heart for short, or in English.
Yeah, and then we have a very special guest today. He hasn't been on the podcast in maybe like, I don't even know, like 2 years almost, but we have him today. We finally got him. So go ahead. We're a very special guest.
Bonjour, everybody. Memegwesi, language coordinator, language instructor.
Yes, Meme. So I'm so glad we have you here today. Like I said, we haven't had you on the podcast for almost 2 years. So just real quick, we're just the whole point of this podcast, to give you a quick overview, is this series is Meet Clan. So it's a Culture Language Arts Network. We'll be going over every staff member to see how they came to be a part of Clan. So everyone has their own special story. So today we'll be going over Meme's. Yeah. So go ahead, Meme. Who are you?
Long answer for that one. Hey.
Yeah, or we can get started as like maybe start to finish. So where were you born?
I was born in Hearst, Ontario, Canada.
Okay, cool. Is that like a reservation?
Actually, my res is Constance Lake First Nation, and then the town, Hearst, is like half an hour away from my res.
Okay.
So yeah, our res is isolated.
So like you can only get there by like foot travel.
I mean, no, you can drive there.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't know how isolated.
I mean, by isolated, like it's like far away. It's not attached to a town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no casinos or anything?
No.
No casinos.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing they do have is they're mining for graphene. Yeah, it was crazy. There's a company mining for graphene on my tribal lands, and they were doing it without permission. And the tribe sued them. So now they're going to work with the tribe to hire band members to do the mining for the graphene.
Oh.
It's not really mining; they're drilling cores into the ground.
Oh, and then they just pull it out, and it's there.
That's how they're mining.
Huh.
What's crazy about it is the graphene there is almost like 99% pure. And everywhere else in the world it's like 70% pure, 75% pure.
Oh.
So everywhere else you got to do a lot of processing. Where it is on my tribe is not much processing. You get that graphene in there.
Okay. Cool, man. Holy jeez.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I learned something with that. Yeah, okay. That's pretty cool. Do you have any like stories of like any like good stories, bad stories with the mill being there or the factory being there?
Well, actually, I do have one crazy story about like how the graphene got there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you go on that website of that company, it's called Zenyatta Ventures. They actually have I don't know if it's an animation or a slideshow picture of like what happened was like there's some kind of like earthquake or some kind of magmatic event where lava came out of the ground, and when it dried up, that's how the graphene got there. What's crazy is there's stories about there's a massive fight between thunderbirds and giant serpents up there in Canada between up in Ontario they call it the Ring of Fire, and there's this massive area where they found a lot of precious metals you can make for processors, all kinds of stuff, even gold.
Okay.
And but yeah, basically how all that got there was the ground like cracked open somehow, and like lava came up and it solidified, and that's what they're going after. But there's stories about giant thunderbirds and serpents fighting. They have a lot of stories of that. And it's a real massive fight. And what happened when those thunderbirds and serpents were fighting, they actually caused the ground to crack open, and that lava came out. But it's actually the reason why I'm saying this story is those companies that are mining on that land, they actually have evidence that lava did come out. And then like the only background behind us where that lava came from is the stories of the people that lived there.
Huh.
So yeah, it kind of like I don't know. It almost like kind of like gives evidence.
Yeah, it
for
does.
stories, yeah, of our oral traditions.
Interesting.
So, yeah, always found that really fascinating.
Yeah, with oral traditions, I suppose like you are like the Ojibwe instructor / coordinator. So like, is that where you learned your language? Is like growing up on the reservation?
Yeah, growing up, my mom and dad were fluent speakers. My aunts, uncles were fluent speakers, and quite a few people in my res were fluent speakers. But so for me, like my first language was Cree, Cree, and Ojibwe. But I wasn't like a full master fluent speaker. You know, I mean, I had a lot of vocabulary, words, phrases I can use to communicate with my mom and dad, my aunts, uncles, because we did a lot of hunting and trapping in the woods.
Right.
So, yeah. But then when I went to school, yeah, that's when I learned English and French.
Okay.
So hey, what school did you go to growing up then? Since it's like, since your res isn't really like attached to a town, so.
Yeah, growing up on my res, there was a day school.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where I went for a couple of years. But then eventually I ended up going to the town of Hearst. I went to a public school over there. Well, what's crazy though was like I lived all over the place. I lived in Ontario and I lived in Maniwaki, Quebec. You know, I lived in Maniwaki, Quebec there. I went to a native school called Kippiganzibi.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and after that I came to U.S., went to school in Michigan, went to school in Minnesota.
Yeah, what age did you come to the U.S.?
I was about 12, 13 years old.
Okay.
Wait, let's take a step back. So you said or people who don't know, did you grow up in the woods?
Yeah, I grew up in the woods, kind of like on off, but when I lived on my res, just because it is kind of like far from the town that my biological father, he was born in the 1920s. His name is Bert Sutherland.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, so he knew a lot about living in the woods, and because of also my mom too. Her name's Mary Moose, and she was born and raised in the woods. And so because of just my parents' background, just like the way they naturally grew up, they prefer to actually live in the woods versus like going to the grocery store and buy stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to go hunting, get your food that way. You know?
It's cheaper too, huh?
Yeah, it was cheaper. Go set out your traps or just go walk around with your rifle. Or
Yeah.
yeah, one of the things we do when hunting, we just drive in our truck in the back roads and have our rifles, and sometimes we got a moose at the crossroad or a bear.
Easy as that.
Yeah, that's how it is. Well, I do actually have one scary story about hunting.
Ooh, scary story time. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one way we used to go hunting was drive around the. Back then they called it the bush roads.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just a dirt road.
Hmm.
When I was sitting in the back of my dad's pickup truck. So there was my mom, my dad were in the front. I don't know if my brothers and sisters were with me, but I know in the back there was me and my older sister Anita.
Mm-hmm.
So we were sitting in the back and we were driving. Must have been like 20 miles an hour. And all nowhere, like from the road to the grass to the tree line, I don't know, must have been like 50 feet. This big, massive grizzly came running out. And I was sitting on the truck, the side of the truck bed, and I turned back and I looked. And there was that grizzly bear. He was looking right at me. And he came charging at us at the truck, and I remember my dad stopped, and I got scared, like my lungs dropped, and I could hear that bear running. Like you could hear like how massive his lungs were as he was breathing. And like when he was stomping the ground, you could feel like the tremors like coming out as his feet were hitting the ground. But no, he was coming at me. That bear was coming to kill me. And I don't know where my dad just one shot, and that bear buckled over and it flipped over. Kill that bear.
Then you all had some bear meat to eat that night, huh?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, that was one of my crazy hunting stories when I was a kid. But yeah, I remember it took them a hard time because that bear was massive and they had a hard time trying to pick it up from the back of the truck. But yeah, finally we took it home. I remember watching my dad skin it. And that's one crazy thing too about when I was a kid. One of my favorite smells when my dad or my mom or dad would gut an animal and they would cut the belly open and the guts would be exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to like walking up and smell it.
It's kind of like one of those things like where you're like just, doing your daily stuff and you like smell something that reminds you about it and you're like, childhood, but then yours is obviously a cut open bear,
Bear moose.
Yeah, cut open moose.
I don't know why, like I watch them skin the animals. The moment they get to that part, they like cut the belly open and take out the guts. I don't know why they like walk.
Yeah. Hey, people have their things, That's what I say.
So from Hearst, Canada. So how did you make it to the U.S. then?
Well, when I was living in Hearst, my mom took me and my little brother, and we moved to Maniwaki, Quebec. Mm-hmm. And we lived there when we lived in Maniwaki, Quebec. We lived in that town, but we also lived in the woods. There was a residence called Rapid Lake, and it wasn't too far from that res. My mom built a log cabin, and that's where we stayed in the woods. But eventually, my mom met my stepdad, Leonard Moose, and they started going on. And then he was the one who brought us down here to the United States. So that's how we got here to the U.S.
Okay. And then you moved right to Minneapolis? Sorry.
Well, actually, when I came here, it was kind of like back and forth, Minnesota, Michigan, Minnesota.
Oh.
Yeah, but the reason why I got to Minneapolis was college, University of Minnesota.
Cool.
Smokes. Yeah. Oh, actually, another fun fact. I know we're probably taking a leap forward, but you were a pit boss, right, at a casino. Yeah. What year was that, or is that too far ahead, or when did you become working at a casino?
Yeah, once we got to once we were in Minnesota, we lived in Mora, Minnesota for a while. We went to Hinckley, Minnesota. But yeah, when we were living in those towns, I started working at Gregson and Hinckley. First started off as a dishwasher, a big dishwasher in the Grand Grill.
Mm-hmm.
After I became a hard count, where you go collect all the coins and collect all the cash, then you count them in the back in the vault.
Mm-hmm.
Then I became security. After security, that's when I became a blackjack dealer. But being a blackjack dealer is tough because you got to deal with customers and you got to listen to their stories, you got to listen to their complaints.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress on you.
Yeah.
Taking in all their toxicity and garbage.
Yeah. You're like, I'm here just to work.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you about their whole life story.
I mean, it was good pay, but the only escape away from there was just going up. So yeah, so that's what I did. So I was able to stand back there, wear a suit, not talk to anybody. Like whenever somebody was being rowdy, I was able to go up and like, I want to say something, stop it, or whatever.
Oh, put their hand on the shoulder. Relax.
Yeah.
And the Meme voice. Relax.
No.
You know.
Yeah, it was cool. I was just talking to surveillance.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was a lot better than dealing blackjack.
That's an interesting story.
But yeah, when I was a pit boss, it was tough. It was a stressful job because it was like I always work overtime almost every single day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like you always work, you come home, just got enough time to go to bed, wake up, and go back to work. And one thing too, when I was a pit boss, I always wore a suit. So when I got home, I just took my blazer coat off and
just laid down.
Went to bed in your whole suit still, kind of.
The next day, took off my suit, showered up, put on another suit, went to work.
Dang.
So yeah, for a couple of years in a row, I saw I wore those suits.
So,
I mean, that's why nowadays that's how I dress the way I dress.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I wear a t-shirt, I don't know why I just feel like I feel.
You feel naked.
You don't feel right, you know. I don't feel right.
No wear shorts. Huh?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Meme's legs before.
Dang, that's pretty cool. So after being a pit boss, after working at a casino, how long do you work at the casino for?
I don't know. It was quite a while. Probably from like hard to say. Probably early 2000s. Feels like maybe the year 2000
Mm-hmm.
to like 2007.
Oh. That's a good time.
Yeah, but I was a pit boss for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then after working at the casino, how did you get into education? How did you get into like teaching or teaching language or getting your learning your language, or you were already kind of fluent at that time, or how did that work?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things about me was when I lived in the U.S., I never told anybody about me that I grew up in the woods. I had a big cultural background. I knew how to hunt. I spoke Ojibwe, Cree,
Mm-hmm.
The reason why that is because growing up I always got teased and mocked, because of my English accent, because I spoke Ojibwe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always kept that quiet about myself. So when I lived in Hinckley, everybody there, they don't know the real me. Everybody there calls me David.
Oh dang.
Nobody knows me as an English speaker. They don't know nothing about me. Because I always kept my whole life quiet about it. Because I don't know, I just didn't want to get teased or mocked or make fun.
Like you don't owe anybody a full identity, honestly.
Yeah, so all my friends back then, they just know me as David, an English speaking person.
The suit and tie man, David.
Yeah, so when I was working at Gregson in Hinckley, there was this other pit boss, and she was a fluent speaker. She was talking to another guy. He was a blackjack dealer, but he was kind of an older person, and she was asking him questions in Ojibwe, just saying phrases to see what he knew. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times he couldn't respond back, or she was quizzing him, testing him. So finally, I said something back to her. So she was shocked to find out that I was able to understand her and I could speak Ojibwe. So after she found out I could speak Ojibwe, so then she started doing that to me, asking me questions, just quizzing me some phrases, stuff here and there. So then basically just building that relationship with her is so it was mainly her. She was the one who told me that I should go on and teach language. She said it was important. I remember I used to tell her about myself too. The reason why I don't speak Ojibwe is because I used to get made fun of and get mocked. And I just shy and embarrassed to speak Ojibwe.
Yeah.
I didn't want nobody to know that about me. She was telling me how important it was for our people to bring back our language. So it was finally from there. So I was like, alrighty. So I that's when I made up my mind to go to college and learn Ojibwe, the written tradition.
That's so cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, the dialect I know is different from what I speak now here in Minnesota. So yeah, it's mainly Ontario. It's a little bit more northern dialect.
Mm.
So yeah, so what I speak now is mainly Minnesota, Wisconsin dialect.
Oh, see, the more you know. I didn't know anything that there's like a different dialects and different parts like that.
It's just little differences, like an accent.
Oh,
But the thing about Ojibwe, they spell it exactly how they speak, not like English. Like the words are all written same here as they are in Europe.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you were to like record a European speaker and an English speaker in the United States, and you write down the words exactly how they speak it. Yeah, that's what they do with language revitalization or linguists when they work with fluent speakers. So that's why when you see the language written in Canada versus written here in the U.S., it almost looks like different languages. I mean, there's also different written traditions. Up north, they use more syllabics or phonetic system.
Yeah.
Down here in the U.S., they use a double vowel. That's why when you see it written, some people think they're completely different languages, but actually they're not. And that's one thing too. When you grow up speaking a language, you realize they all are the same language.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're an English speaker learning Ojibwe or Cree, they look like different languages to you. So that's why a lot of people, they think Cree people, Ojibwe people, they think we're like completely separate people, but they don't realize we're the same people. And that's one of the problems they have up north. There's a lot of violence with natives, fighting natives.
Oh my
kids
gosh.
who are Cree, they think kids who are Ojibwe are completely separate people, but they don't realize we're different. And that's one of the problems that comes up with language loss. What if they spoke the same language? They realize, hey, we're the same people, and a lot of the violence and fighting that they have over there.
Dang, that's a lot to take in. Well, that was wow. Okay.
The more you know with Meme,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah, that kind of blew me back.
Well, take another step back. So moving from growing up mostly in the woods or in your reservation, then coming to the U.S., was it a culture shock, or was it just being moving? Well, say you moved to Hinckley, was it like weird for you at all, or I mean, like you said, you're too scared to speak your language, but was it more of a culture shock than anything, or?
Yeah, actually, it was a culture shock. When I lived in Canada, when I came from Canada, U.S., I was living in the town of Maniwaki, Quebec, and also on the log cabin we built in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we lived there in the summertime. So in the winter time when the snow would come in, that's when we go back to the town of Maniwaki. My mom rented a house and she was sending me to school. And when the snow started melting, we go back out to the woods. But yeah, so like when I was living in the town of Maniwaki, there was English speakers and French speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Like to them, I was just real quiet. I didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
But then when I came here to the U.S., I mean, just real quick. So when I was living in the woods, there was a res not too far called Rapid Lake, and everybody spoke Algonquin. It's pretty much the same language as Ojibwe, Cree.
Mm-hmm.
And then all those people, like the elders, kids, adults, everyone spoke Algonquin. So that's who those were my friends that I used to hang out with over there when I lived in the woods. Because there was our log cabin, then across the road was another log cabin. And that guy too, his kids, they would come over a lot, and they were fluent Algonquin. And that's who I hung out with. So I grew up in the woods hunting, speaking with those kids who spoke Algonquin. And then when I came here to the U.S., we moved to Cloquet, Minnesota, on Fond du Lac Reservation. And what was different, so I came from an area where kids were speaking Algonquin.
Yeah.
Living in the woods, hunting, harvesting. And also we come here to the U.S. and like everyone speaks English. But then the kids are just like hardcore rap and everybody wants to be White Swords. And
Yeah.
GD. So yeah, and I was like, I don't know, I was like, what the heck is this? I'm like, what the heck is GD?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but the thing that's funny is that gang GD, their gang name is the words letter G and D, but in Ojibwe there's a word called Jeed, which is butthole. But then
I love that one.
Yeah, you can also say like GD, like she or he's like being a butthole. So when I heard GD, I thought that was like GD, the Ojibwe word. I thought it was the letters G and the letters D.
You were like, man, what the heck are these kids talking about?
Like so much like Ojibwe slang,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that's what they did. It was just a slang.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I just laugh at myself sometimes when I think about that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So then, going to the, so you went to college in Hinckley?
Actually, Fond du
Fond du Lac.
Lac Community College, University of Minnesota. After that,
Okay. Did you graduate?
from Fond du Lac, I did. Yeah, I got an AA degree, got a 2-year degree.
Cool.
But yeah, when I was over there, I learned from Dan Jones, but he was on sabbatical. There was a lady named Tara. I forget her last name, but yeah, she was my teacher for like the first semester, or I think the first semester. And that's when Dan Jones came back, and I learned Ojibwe for a year and a half over at Fond du Lac. And then when I graduated with my AA degree over there, I came to the University of Minnesota because they have a better language program here at University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I mean, all I did was just focus on the language program. I didn't like really care about my other classes or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, because really, when you go to college, like, how much do you remember from all the other classes that you took?
Yeah, especially like I've heard some people, like, especially during the COVID time, even, you know, they literally just like faked it until they made it, you know. And like it's kind of like, do any of those kids know anything? You know, this is coming from a kid that didn't even graduate himself, so that's what I'm just thinking about too. Is like, you know, how much of that is actually applicable to what you're gonna do every day? You know.
Yeah, so that's why when I was at the U of M, I didn't like care about it. I mean, I went to the classes, you know, but I didn't like do none of the work, none of the readings. I sat there and paid attention to the lectures, but the only class I really paid attention to was my Ojibwe language classes. So yeah, those ones I really cared about.
Well, that's good though. I mean, you paid attention to the classes that you're really passionate about, and then now you're doing language today, or you're teaching language. So it's like, I mean, like you said, like how many, or like even what Sonny said, like how much in college do you really like take away or go home with? I mean, I know from my experiences, I'm really close to getting my associate's degree, but I mean, like I took like business principles of management, business economics 1, 2, and 3. It's just like a lot of that stuff is just like, okay, it's cool, but I mean, like if you don't apply that every single day, then it's like, how much are you actually learning or taking away? So it's just like, sometimes it's like, is it even worth it? You know, I don't know, who knows, but that's good. I mean, no, it's good that people go to school and pursue their passions, and then it shows. So it's like really pretty cool.
I mean, it was just different just because I grew up in the woods. I didn't fully get it, you know, like why do we gotta take all these classes for this? For me, I didn't fully understand. So it was just like, I don't know, just a different cultural understanding for me, I guess.
That's true.
That's why I just only cared about the language.
What do they call it? A Western education. That's what that is. Yeah. So like it's kind of like, you know, you got a PhD in language, you know, but in like, I don't know, in the Western education world, we got like minimal. You know, that's how I feel too. You know, I'm like, oh shoot.
So at the U of M, I didn't graduate from the U of M. I just took the language. Once I was done with all the language classes, that's when I just stopped going to school.
Right. Well, like for your route, especially, like, look at you, you know, you're like a really well-known Ojibwe speaker, and you have really good language classes that have good results, you know. And if you want to go on to talk about that, maybe like how you go, like how your language classes are going and all the numbers behind it.
All right, let's pause real quick. Yeah, so then from the U of M, what was your first like teaching education route, or where'd you go on from the U of M?
Well, just real quick, I just want to say one reason why I only just took the language classes is because growing up, my parents work with spirits, you know, like they have spirit helpers. So that's one of the things that I grew up was working with spirits, you know, living with them. And like every time, like, because they always like watched over us. So whenever something would happen, like you would see something and then like you would just know what to do. You know, like if you just had to run home right away, or sometimes we got lost in the woods, like the birds would show us where to go. So the birds always guided us where we need to go sometimes. And then when I was at the U of M, I would have dreams that I was told, just take the language classes, don't worry, like you're going to be taken care of. You know, that's what I was told, like you're going to be taken care of, don't worry about anything else, just learn Ojibwe. And then when I was finally done with that final Ojibwe class in the summertime, that very exact same summer, someone called me up to be a language teacher at Anishinaabe Academy. So and I went to work at Anishinaabe Academy. But like all of my jobs, a lot of jobs were just came upon me. People called me up and asked me if I wanted to do this, if I wanted to do that. So I really like struggled trying to find jobs or nothing. A lot of things just fell upon my lap somehow magically.
Well, do you think that blackjack dealer that was going over language phrases back in Hinckley, you think that was a spirit helper? Because then that kind of she gave you that, hey, pursue language revitalization, you know.
Like
so it's
like an ancestor looking out for you. Like,
you know. Have you ever seen that blackjack dealer again? I don't know.
I always think about that too. I always felt like it was like destiny or something, you know, like something happy made us cross paths. So because like if I never spoke to that lady, I would have just kept myself quiet and never told anybody like my cultural background or my language background. Just being known as the speaker David.
Huh.
I am really glad that I met that lady. I'm not sure where she is now, but back then she was an elder, so I'm not sure if she's still alive now. So, yeah. But I know that person she was talking to. Like, I know he passed away.
Oh, jeez.
So I don't know if that is still alive.
Going from the U of M and then getting your first job at Anishinaabe Academy, how to go on from there? And then
Yeah, I went from Anishinaabe Academy, and then from there, where did I go next? I think I went to Bidoti after. Oh no, yeah, I went from Anishinaabe Academy, and then I went to Nawa Center School.
Oh, yep.
At the same time I was working there, I was also working at Fairview Academy, and I was also working at Memegwesi Communications as well. So I was working at all three places at the same time. But not only that too, I was also a language consultant for Minneapolis American Indian Studies for teaching language tables. So I kind of had 4 jobs, and at the same time I was helping my friend Randy Greshik. I was selling his classes once in a while at Augsburg University. So yeah, I was kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Definitely.
okay, and then then how did you get into, or before, whenever you were being a consultant, was it even was Cultural Language Arts Network a thing yet, or is it, or what? You're like one of the founders, you and Cheryl.
Yeah, before Clan there was I'm not sure which order it went, but I think there was like COG, it was Circle of Generations. Then after that there was PCAP, which is Prevention Through Cultural Awareness Program. Then after that, that's when Clan came to be Cultural Language Arts Network. Yeah, when Clan got started, that's when I finally got hired full time. But when it was COG or PCAP, I was just a language consultant teaching language tables on Wednesday. Yeah, so I mean, from when I was a language consultant, that's when it started growing big. Because before there was always language consultants doing language tables here at the University of Minnesota. But it wasn't until I came on, I don't know why, the thing just blew up and it got really big. Now here I am teaching the world's largest integrated language class. So yeah, the reason why I started working here at the Minneapolis American Indian Studies is because I actually had a dream about it. Me and my wife were we went someplace for a little vacation overnight, and then that's when I had this dream. I was teaching classes at Minneapolis American Indian Center. I remember seeing exactly how it looked like the white brick walls. You know those like concrete walls where they use those cylinder bricks. But yeah, I remember seeing those walls, and it was painted white. I remember seeing the whiteboards, seeing people sitting down at tables. That's exactly what I envisioned in my mind when I was teaching language classes. And I remember I woke up, I was like, I'm teaching language classes. You know, but then later on that day, I got a call from one of my friends, Gary Spears. He asked me if I wanted to come up and sub for his brother, because his brother was teaching at the time. So he asked me to come up and sub. So that's when our vacation ended. So we went from where we were at the Potawatomi Casino in Milwaukee. We drove right from there all the way down to Minneapolis American Indian Center. And that's when I taught my first language table class. And
Wait, what year was that?
sorry, I don't know, it was in 2014 or 2015. Yeah, sometimes back then.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was just a language consultant. So yeah, we just did language tables, and slowly it started getting bigger and bigger. Then we started adding more classes. We had I think an intro and then an intermediate. You know, it started growing more and more.
Well, how many people did it start off with? How many people did you get in your intro, then intermediate? How did it build, or how many people did you start off
When
with?
I first started, there was just 2 people in my class, my language table. And they came regular. Well, there was actually 3. There was those 2 students and my wife married. So yeah, there was 3. But then there was those 3 regulars, and then slowly it started getting bigger and bigger. More people started showing up. But finally, when Clan started 2019, it was that summer. Then that's when I came on full time. I became a language coordinator and the ojibwe language instructor. But during that first year, so that winter, it was 2019, transition to 2020. And then the pandemic happened. And then when the pandemic happened, that's when everything shut down and we had to go virtual. And then when everything shut down, like everybody canceled their programs, like all these language programs. I'm not sure about colleges and universities, but I know a lot of people they canceled. They didn't continue on to keep their classes going. But Clan, us guys kept going. Us guys were one of the only language programs that kept our classes going. When the pandemic happened. I mean, it was tough. It was a lot of research, like a tremendous amount of research, and I don't know. I was like working a long time, maybe like 20-hour days, doing researches on how to teach classes online, how to create classes for online classes, like which platforms to use, or how do I use for my grading system, you know,
like curriculum and things like that.
Yeah, and it was really like nerve-wracking, because then when I posted registration for the first online class, I had like over 200 people signed up. Because first my classes were designed for like 25 people. Yeah, and I went from that to like 200. I was like, oh crap, I was sitting there on my computer and replying to emails, like talking to a whole bunch of people. I don't know, it was pretty crazy. And then my first class happened, and I don't know, it was kind of hectic because when my first class happened online, it was actually new for everybody, like for me and even for the students. So it was like a new transition for everybody going virtual. Because one of the things that happens with language and culture, like nowadays, I guess for everybody, like Ojibwe, Dakota, Dene people, like you know, everybody, like they don't know their language or they don't know their culture. And every once in a while, you see somebody who tries to be like they know the most. I mean, sometimes they can be like toxic, sometimes they can be positive.
Yeah.
You'll see somebody who tries to claim like they're like the language keeper, or the knowledgeable one, who knows the most. And I don't know why sometimes when you meet some folks like that and you like go against what they say, I don't know why they just get so infuriated and they get mad. You know, and they just, I don't know, it's like they only wanted to go by what they know or how they understand it. And if you like defy or go against the way they understand it, like, I don't know, it just tears the world apart and get mad. So that's what happened with my classes. There's people in the chat like just arguing and saying, no, that's not right, it's like this. You know? So that's one of the problems that happen when classes happen online. People are fighting, people are arguing. And one of the things too is there's different dialects because the classes are massive. There's people around the US, even around the world joining my classes. And there's and one of the another problems that happens too when people grow up speaking Ojibwe or whatever language they learn like from their parents growing up fluently, is you tend to be ignorant when you like see other people learning the written way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I was too when I went to college in Europe. I mean, I was kind of, I was like, this is an Ojibwe, like, stupid. You know?
Yeah.
But I just forced myself to stand there and I learned it and I mastered everything. And I realized that, man, everything fits perfectly. The way the linguists created the written system, the double vowel written system for the language, it actually fits very perfectly. And so yeah, so I'm glad I stuck in there and I learned it. But that's one of the things that happens with people who grow up speaking Ojibwe and they see people learning the written way. They think it's like it's foolish or it's dumb or they talk down to it because they just have like a level of ignorance they just can't get past. So that's one of the problems. That's another thing I faced through my classes when I was teaching Ojibwe. Like it's like, no, this is right, this isn't right, or some people like, no, it sounds like Chinese, you know, saying stupid, ridiculous things. But I don't know, it was tough. It was really tough to just keep going and seeing all that criticism, you know, because inside, man, I was just mad. I was just angry. I was like, I just wanted to tell them off, or I just wanted to yell at them, but I just kept my composure.
Yeah.
Kept going my lesson plan and kept teaching. I don't know, it was really, but then like as classes kept continue on, I started like learning more and understanding people more. And so then finally, as my father, I remember my dad, Leonard Moose, my stepdad, he told me something because one time I was making fun of people here in Minnesota just because like we would go to different events and I would just see like how very little people knew about the language or culture, and I would just try to make fun of them just because growing up so many people made fun of me.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. But then he got mad at me, he scolded me. He told me not to make fun of people or tease anybody, and he said, so what he told me is all of our teachings, all of our ceremonies, even the language, everything was given to us by the spirits. You know, so like if someday like everything disappears, you know, it's gonna come back. The spirits will give it back to us, because that's where everything came from. And he says, you see how I look compared to him. He says we look different, and then you see how we look compared to other people. We look different as well. And he says that's how the language is. That's how the culture is inside all of us. It's all different and unique inside of everybody. And he says how one group of people live versus another group, like this spirit that came and told them this ceremony versus this group of people, how this spirit came and told them that ceremony. There's going to be differences amongst those groups of people. It's not going to be exactly the same, because he says all of our teachings come from the spirit, so not everything's going to be exactly the same thing. So he told me don't scold people who do things different or who understand things differently. He says just be respectful of our differences. Just because you were told like a certain story that goes this way, and then this person tells that same story, but it's different.
Yeah.
So he told me not to get mad, don't get upset. Just try to understand and be respectful of the way they understand it. And so based off of that, what he told me, so then when I teach my classes now, I kind of have a disclaimer. I talk about that teaching my late father Leonard Moose gave me. So I say that in my classes to stop the people from fighting amongst each other.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, another thing that I've learned in just with my elders or just my grandma and like people that I do know that are fluent speakers, or they try really hard to learn Dakota, well, for Dakota side. But I mean, you feel like generational trauma does a big impact on how people learn and how they learn. And well, for me, or for my stories, is like my grandma went to a boarding school, and I know her parents went to a boarding school, so it's like they got their language beat out of them, their culture beat out of them, and then it's really hard for them to speak their language. And then I know one time my grandma told me a story where she went to a boarding school, and then she met other fluent speakers of different dialects. So I'm Ihangtuan, so our dialect is Ihangtuan. I can't remember exactly how it's said, but she met people from Sisseton, and they spoke Sissetuan, and then they kind of like kind of blended the dialects together, so they kind of made their own dialects, or they kind of took other words that all kind of got mashed together. They also met some people from Pine Ridge, were Lakota, some Lakota dialect in there. So it's like maybe that's, I mean, because everyone, I mean, well, people kind of get mad to be like, oh, my grandma says it like this, or my uncle says it like that, you know. But I feel like there is no right or wrong answer, and it's always good to have those conversations to be like, all right, here's something that, I mean, maybe it is not said like this, but it's like, here's how I learned, and here's a conversation that we can have, and then it builds more knowledge, you know. But I mean, it does suck when people do take it really toxic or get real rugged with it, you know. It's like, God dang it. But then it's really cool when you do have those open conversations, and then you're like, and then you learn more too. You're like, oh man, that's really cool how, especially with your father, Leonard, how he gave you that, like, hey, don't judge other people for how they learned when they were growing up, or how they learned, you know, because then maybe they have something to offer you, or maybe they do learn it some different way, or taught some different way, to where you learn something from them, you know. But that's really cool. No, I just had to bring that up because then that's what I thought of.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was nice. Yeah, that's exactly what you were saying. There's no right or wrong.
Just be good.
Yeah.
Just be good to everybody, you know. So with all of the language classes, the first ever language class you did back in like 2014, you said, to now, like, how does that, in comparison of like how many students do you have in your classes as of recently?
And this last one was 500 registered, or over 500 registered. I'm not sure exactly the exact number.
Yeah.
But no, and in the past, it was like the class has been in the thousands.
Wow.
So that's pretty crazy. But like nowadays, I'm kind of glad. Like when I post a registration for class, it actually makes me happy when not too many people share it. I know registration is not going to go crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it just it's a big workload.
Yeah, all the emails, man. It's funny because Meme has like 3 different emails, just because he just gets blown up so much about classes. And then even our clan, our clan email. I mean, I know we all have access to it, but you see all the emails on there, like, oh, sign me up, or register me, or I'll have some people message me or call me, be like, hey, can you get Meme, or can you give me Meme's phone number? I'm like, oh no, I can't give you Meme's phone number, but I'll let them know, you know, because they're like, oh, register me, I got to get registered. It's just really funny. But yeah, so with you being in clan, being our language coordinator and Ojibwe instructor, what else do you do for clan? Is there anything else?
Yeah, it's actually well, just to like take it back a little bit more, when I was a kid living in Canada, when I thought of the United States, because I knew my mom and Leonard, and I knew we were going to move to the U.S., but it wasn't for like a month or two. Mm-hmm. And when I thought about living in the U.S., I thought everyone was just so like technologically advanced, you know, like no one had computers or like gadgets and all that. Then finally, so I just kind of started nerding out on things and started learning technology and stuff. When I got here, I found out that wasn't the case, you know. But still, when I got here, I was still really interested in computers and technology and software.
Yeah.
So growing up, that was just like one of the things I was really excited about, computers and technology. It's like cameras, video cameras, is like how things work. Like, how does a TV work, you know?
Yeah.
So TV, finally, I found out how to take off that big back cover. I was standing there looking at all the wires, just trying to figure it out. Yeah, but yeah, I was just really like
curious.
So yeah, so that's why for clan, when like all the technology we have, I was the one who chose all the things to buy. Mm-hmm. That's why like everything we have here, like I was the one who's like single-handedly chose everything. Like, buy this, buy that. And so I figured out how to like connect this to work with that, or figure out the software, how everything's compatible.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like even though I grew up in the woods, I do have a good like technology background because I'm just nerding out on
Self-taught, more like, right?
Yeah, man. It's so funny because when I first started with Clan, I was very technology illiterate. I was like, oh man, I was a little scared because then Cheryl, May, they were like, man, you gotta learn how to use this technology stuff. And I was like, oh geez. So I think one of my first days, I sat in on a podcast with Miko and Misko doing interviewing. I think they were just doing a podcast by themselves. They were just talking back and forth, doing like clan news or something. But I think you and Cheryl were sitting next to me like, you can plug this stuff in, right? You know how to work this. And I was like, oh, I don't know. But no, it's just so funny though, because then like my first couple months working here, I was very like nervous. But Meme was awesome because he taught me everything. He taught me how to use all of our technology, and then and it sparked my passion because now I'm like really into editing. I love editing, so it's just like really cool to where I can record videos and shoot videos and edit videos and do our YouTube and do a bunch of other different stuff. So it's just like Meme is like the Wizard of Oz, you know. He's like the wizard behind the curtain, you know. He kind of taught us all how to work all this stuff. So it's really cool.
Yeah, more or less the same for me, honestly, because like I didn't know any of this stuff. You know, I probably had like one summer program worth of education for it, but then other than that, I was like, yeah, maybe definitely the wizard behind the curtain on that one.
All right, let's go into funny stories. So Meme, you got any funny stories working here for Clan?
Actually, I do. I got quite a bit. I remember. Let's just talk about funny stories with us.
Okay, yeah.
I'll go with past employees.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, remember that one when we did drum and dance at Cedar Field?
Yeah, jeez.
That was crazy. Just a lot of work, hot summer days.
Yeah.
Sweating our butts off. Jeez.
Oh my God! Here, I mean, it's funny because then we had this he was like our consultant, kind of, just to help us set up everything. Remember Joe? Oh, yeah. Joe Gaskell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that guy. Yeah, no, I'll insert a picture right here in the screen of we had the Bright Beginnings van with Family Services. We borrowed their van to take everything to Cedar Field. Man, we had to grab 50 chairs, like two big tables and all of our equipment. So if anybody have ever came to any of our events, you know how much equipment we have, and we had it all shoved in this little minivan. And Joe, he was awesome because he helped us set up all these chairs. And holy smokes, man, we at Cedar Field at Little Earth, man, we had probably like 100 plus every single drum and dance. It was crazy. It was just a lot of people showed up, a lot of people supported us, and they all came from most of them came from Little Earth, but you seen all the St. Paul people, and I'm like, man, you guys are all awesome. Came out. And it was funny too because our first drum and dance, we didn't even have all of our technology stuff, but a lot of people did come out because we didn't know there was plugins there. Remember that when we found out there was plugins? Yeah, it was crazy. And then we figured out we could plug everything in, and then we had it all into one breaker. I was all nervous because I thought everything was gonna blow up. I was like, oh no.
Speakers and everything, PA system plugged in.
Yeah, man, that was awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, what was crazy too, remember when we did the advanced drum and dance?
Holy smokes. It was funny because then the night before, me and Meme stayed up. I mean, we didn't stay up, but we stayed at work until like 9 because remember we made Quizlets. Me and Meme both made Quizlets of Dakota and Ojibwe so we could play Candyland with the kids. Remember that?
Yeah. So we could have an audio recording of all the vocabulary used.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we stayed late. We got all that done. We made the Candyland game, and then the day of, we worked our butts off that day. It was like the first time we started running.
Yeah, got there early that day. Yeah, and we ended up renting tables and a whole bunch of chairs. So we did way more than drum and dance.
Oh yeah, no, we had to go to Ready Rents on Hiawatha. We would go to Ready Rents. We had we have these big vans for the Minneapolis American Indian Center. We borrowed those, and then we took out all the chairs out of them, like just the van seats, and then we filled them full of, man, even more, probably 100 chairs, 100 chairs and 10 tables or 20 tables. Holy smokes!
Yeah, no, just me and you. I was supposed to get all that. We did all that work.
Yeah, it was funny because then we had our enhanced drum and dance, which is I think it was our language. It was kind of like a language powwow too, because we had all our language consultants come out. We had Chante Maza, Summer DeMars.
Yeah. I think it was those two.
Just those two, yeah.
And his wife, yeah.
Oh yeah. Then we had them come out, and then man, we started at probably like at noon, and we went to go grab all the chairs and tables, and then we set everything up until like at 4 o'clock. I think I started at 5. We finally got to sit down at 4, and we were just like so tired. I was all sweaty. I was like, oh my goodness.
I know. Plus, we didn't eat lunch. We didn't eat nothing at all that day.
Yeah, and man, it was probably like 90 degrees out. It was like in the middle of June. It was just hot, and it was Yeah, jeez.
Everything started, and we were just so exhausted, and we had to do the mini power.
Yeah. Then it was like, all right, man, go do the language games, and I'll sit here and talk to everyone. Hello, everyone. A little sleepy, but we got this. Yeah, it was funny. Oh man. Oh, and then all the family fun nights, man. Remember, there was another funny story. Sonny wasn't here. I think it was February's family fun night with the Cedar Tea teachings. Remember that one? Yeah. Sadly, Sonny wasn't there. He did come help us set up the day before, but the day of, we were setting up everything. Remember that? And then all the HDMI's didn't work, and then we couldn't get the TVs to work. We couldn't get the cameras to work. Like nothing was working until like it started at 5. I think at like 4:30 we finally got everything to work. But I was all super stressed out. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was tough work. I don't know why all these software compatibility issues, hardware issues, just turn everything off, turn it back on.
Yeah. I know a trick. Turn everything off, turn it back on. And if that doesn't work, then I'm like, all right, man, you got this.
Yeah, it was funny that time because I remember we like made sure we set up early the day before, and I was there for you guys, helping you guys out. I think it was like that Friday, the family fun night, obviously, and then I was like, all right, so I can't be there on Friday. It was my son's 8th birthday.
Yeah.
On February 16th, and I wasn't able to be there, and I was like, all right. I'm like, y'all should be good. I'm like, nothing should go wrong. I'm like, this should be good, And then like they said, of course there was a problem. When everything goes well, there's always got to be a problem in it. Yeah. But it was cool because I was watching the whole family fun night in the middle of my son's birthday party like this. I was like,
oh, with your phone out?
Yeah, my phone on, I had AirPod in. I'm like, you guys are doing great at home. You guys are killing it.
No, that was awesome too, because man, we got everything ready, set up at like 4:40. We're like, all right, man, let's try something. This HDMI doesn't work. Let's plug in another one. Then everything finally worked. It was all good to go, and we're like, oh yeah, what the heck? Oh, and another funny. Remember that whenever so Cheryl was doing the Cedar Tea teachings, and then go ahead, I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, she was doing cedar tea teachings, and she was making some kind of cedar powder, and she had a coffee grinder.
Yeah.
I don't know why the button wouldn't work, so you had to lay on the floor and you had to plug it in manually when she wanted to use it.
Yeah.
Is there a picture we can insert?
No, I'll insert another picture. It was pretty hilarious. No, because then it was like short circuited or something. Because if you plugged it in, it was all started smoking and you're ready to blow up. So then we're like, all right. So if we plug it in, we can only work it for like 5 seconds. We got to unplug it. So I was laying on the floor, having it plugged in while she turned it on, used it to grind up the cedar, and then I had to hurry up and unplug it because it started smoking. So it's like behind the scenes is just the funny things we got going on. It's just hilarious.
So if any of you watch that cedar teaching by Cheryl Sokola, Jonathan's laying on the floor, but you can't see him.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, I was laid out trying to make sure the place didn't blow up or start fire.
Whatever it takes to make things work.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, but. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Meme?
I don't know. We had a lot of other fun times too. Like remember when we were in the Swamp Tea at Red Willow?
Oh my goodness! Actually, let's go over all the family fun nights real quick because that was absolutely hilarious. So then, what is that? December? We did. We recorded Mary Moose in November. Remember that? Yeah. So in November we were like, all right, what should we do for family fun night? Meme was like, I got an awesome idea. We're going to go pick Swamp Tea, and then we're going to go record Mary Moose teaching Swamp Tea. And then go ahead, maybe I'll let you tell the story, but that was hilarious.
When we got out there, we were still kind of like, we knew videography, but with audio, we didn't fully get it. And then what the problem we had was our audio messed up. So when we were all done recording, we were back in the office next day trying to fix everything. We're like, man, all the audio sucks, like nothing works out good. So we had video but like no audio.
Yep.
So then we had to go back and get another time and go do some more recording and get more audio. So that was pretty crazy going back and one more time.
Yeah, so I think that was November 2023. We ended up recording Mary Moose 3 times.
Yeah,
so,
where did you guys have to go to record her at?
Yeah, so we drove all the way up to Hinckley, Minnesota, where Meme's mom lives. The first time we went and we recorded, I can insert some footage, but we went and recorded us picking Swamp Tea. Remember that? Mm-hmm. We picked Swamp Tea, and then we had really awesome footage of everything, and then We even recorded your mom speaking about swamp tea, and which is good swamp tea, which is bad, not bad, but which isn't good. I mean, because it was funny because I was picking everything. I was picking leaves, I was picking swamp tea, and then your mom pulled me aside. And she's like, "Okay, this is not it, but this is it right here." And I was like, "Oh, awesome!"
Yeah, there's a plant that looks similar to swamp tea, but it's not swamp tea.
Yeah. Then we went back to the office and we had no audio. We're like, oh my goodness. And then we went back again. Me and Mei Mei went back again. And then I think, remember, it was super windy. We put up a tarp and everything. Yeah, we put up a tarp, and then like the wind was getting ready to like start a whole forest fire, and we're like, all right, we'll put up a tarp. We'll try to get it all good. And then we recorded her and everything. And then we went back to the office again, no audio. I was like, oh my goodness. It was so funny because I was asking Cheryl, I was like, all right, Cheryl, one more time. We got to go up to Hinckley. It's an hour drive. So we're like, all right, we're going to go up to Hinckley one more time. And then I can insert more pictures and everything. But we went up there for the last time. We brought, this time we brought our soundboard, our Roadcaster. And that's how we got perfect audio that time. And then, so yeah, if you guys need to see our video with Mary Moves, it's on our YouTube channel. I can link it in the video, but...
Yeah, that one day it was windy though, huh?
Yeah.
Because we were going to make a fire and have her sit next to a fire, but it was so windy and she was worried that the little piece of debris would fall off and cause a forest fire.
Yeah.
So we put a big tarp over it, but because the wind was so powerful that thing was like shaking all over and blew the tarp off.
Yeah, oh no, we had the fire going and it was all smoky inside the tarp. My eyes were all like burning. I was like, oh, trying to record everything. I was like, geez. Oh, and then another funny time was Rocky. Remember Rocky?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, with the Red Willow?
Yeah, I went to go film Rocky over in the woods. I'm not going to tell you where. It was a secret location, but we went to go film Rocky in the woods. And then, oh man, remember when we went to go harvest all of it? And we shoved it in your van or your car, and it was like a whole bunch of just red willow we shoved in your car.
Actually, I got a selfie of us, and it's like all the red willows is packed all around in the back.
Oh, send that to me so we could put it in there too again. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And it's actually awesome every time we go and record some videos.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody watching this has any ideas for us, yeah, we can
Get a production there.
Yeah, I mean, just we could run it by us or shoot us an email, message us, let us know if you have any ideas of any traditional medicines, any traditional teachings that you maybe want to teach, and then maybe we can go out record you, maybe we can go film or go pick something, and then just for educational purposes to get everyone more knowledgeable on teachings.
Yeah, pretty much every month we have family fun, right? And
Yep.
We just do some main cultural teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so if any of you out there want us any ideas, just throw in the chat of what you like maybe want us to possibly do in the future. Family funny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, and then another thing too, we can do this video we posted on all of our social medias. I didn't do this in our last video, but if anybody has any questions for Mei Mei, or questions for me, Jonathan, or questions for Sunny, feel free to comment or just or even share, or just like feel free to share it, comment, let us know if anybody has any questions specifically about clan or about our jobs or what we do or who we are as individuals. Mm-hmm. We can all answer those questions. So
yeah, I think we should be wrapping it up.
Is there anything else you want to touch on?
Is there anything else you want to ask us?
Man, well, what do you all think about the language classes and stuff? Like what the biggest getting?
I think it's great. First things first, you know, like yeah, we don't know who those people are who are learning it, obviously, and that doesn't matter. You know, as long as somebody knows our language, you know, I think that's like where it's huge.
Actually, let me go over one more funny story because it was absolutely hilarious. Back in February, it was our the MIAC conference, and that stands for what again, Mei Mei?
Minnesota Indigenous Affairs Council. I don't know if it's Minnesota Indian or Minnesota Indigenous Affairs Council.
Yeah. So then it was back in February 2024. Our whole staff, clan staff, we went to Treasure Island Resort and Casino, and we got to present our program. So we got to present Cultural Language Arts Network. We got to talk about our awesome language programs that we have here. And this is like reason why I bring it up is because this is the first time in person that I got to see people that are not from Minnesota, but they just came for the conference, and they got to say, oh, what an awesome program we have, you know? Like, they took intro with Summer, and then they took intermediate with Chante Maza. So I was like, dang, that's pretty dang awesome, you know? And it just shows that our language program is more than it reaches a lot of different people.
But yeah, there was a lot of familiar faces there. I seen, you know, people like like I haven't worked with the clan long enough to know these people, but I've known some. I know a little handful of people that were there, and I was like, oh wow, what I'm like, how do people know about this conference if you like invite only feeling to it, And I know that after that conference, I feel like we had like a really good like turnout. It was like we had a really good result. We got our message across. We let everybody know what our program was doing, especially Clan Talk, and we know what Jonathan does for Drum and Dance and Family Fun Nights, and it was pretty cool. And because I think my highlight of that conference / symposium was our photo with Meme. And I was like, it was funny because I was like, you know what? I'm like, we need one good photo. It was probably like my second month working with you guys. Mm-hmm. I'm like, come here, Meme. I'm gonna hold you up. And it was funny because I was trying to, Jonathan's big guns over here. If anybody knows, Jonathan lifts weights, and I do not lift weights. And I'm like, all right, so why am I standing in the middle? I'm all holding Meme's like mass weight, and then Jonathan's over there holding his shoelaces. I'm like, all right, that's cool. You got Cheryl and Misko on my right, holding up everything else heavy. I'm like,
you know what though? Hey, it was funny though. The reason why I got out of the middle is because like right away, Meme, I don't know if you remember, but I was getting ready to hold up Meme, and he like swung his elbow, and I got like elbowed right in the face, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna move over here. Yeah.
Just caught you.
Yeah, that's the reason why I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna move over here. But I mean, it wasn't nothing bad or anything. It was just kind of funny. I was just like, well, I'm gonna move over here. Oh no, go back to the language conference. This is what I was gonna say. At the very end of Meme's presentation, he was talking about his language program, or the language program here with Clan, and then the numbers of how many people register, show up. Mm-hmm. At the very end, he was like, language revitalization is everything, or he's like, this is everything that matters to me, and everyone was like, yeah. I was like, heck yeah.
I remember like the whole room had like a chill, like an exciting good chill to it.
Yeah, that was
whoa. All right, Meme, drop the mic moment.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. He's like, one more thing I gotta say. Language revitalization.
Oh, he said language should be free.
Oh yeah, no, language should be free.
Yeah.
It was I don't know. I was talking about why you shouldn't have to pay to learn your language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, just because like what happened to us, like I don't know, just like the great lengths the U.S. government and the churches taking our language and culture away from us in our life. I don't know. That's why I said I was talking about like why you shouldn't have to pay. I mean, but that's why I said like when you learn language through Cultural Language Arts Network, you'll never have to pay to learn your language.
Damn.
Yeah, that was the last phrases.
That was really cool. I was like sitting there. I was like, I was kind of more lost for words. I was like, that's pretty awesome, man. Yeah.
It's like a quote you put on top of your doorway in the office and just slap it every time you walk past it. Language should be free.
Yep. I know what, like just talking more about that subject. It is kind of crazy that the great lengths the U.S. government went at taking away language, culture, way of life, even the land. Mm-hmm. And they just killed and slaughtered so many people. They killed all the buffalo, killing the bulls. Mm-hmm. I mean, so they took everything away from us. None of us had to pay for them to do that. But for us to bring back our language, like, why do we have to pay to bring it back? Like, why does the U.S. government just do that for us?
Like, give us funding of some sort?
Yeah, they took it away, but why can't they just like give it back to us? So it is kind of like makes me mad when I see like maybe people having to pay money to learn their language. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand like this is the way of life we live nowadays. For some people, in order for them to have a language program, they do have to make people pay because they have to live and pay their bills and feed their family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it just makes me mad. Like, why can't the U.S. government just like pay for all of it, all the language revitalization, cultural revitalization courses and everything for all the people?
Yeah, I think me and you had a conversation about this before. Like, there should be we shouldn't have to apply for grants to get for language, especially Dakota and Ojibwe. Like this is like you said, this is our language, or this is who we are as people. I feel like a lot of people are lost. They go to addictions. They get stuck in like addictive behaviors such as like alcoholism, like abusing substances. But I feel like if people go back to who they are as a person with our culture, our language. I mean, it should be free, but I mean, we shouldn't have to apply for grants or hope that we get our grant so we can teach more language and things like that. Not just for our program, but maybe for, a lot of other different programs. There should just be like a universal grant that if you're teaching language, it should be free. But that's my opinion. That would be really awesome because we should just make it more cool, make it more cool, more accessible for everyone. Not just if you have a or if you have the funds to pay for it, or if you have the technology to be a part of it, But I mean, that's my opinion on it. But I mean, that would be really cool, though. I think me and you had a conversation on that before, but yeah.
Taking a step back on your upbringing and everything, did you have any like really good role models or like elders that like taught you a lot? Obviously you said your stepfather was a big piece.
Yeah.
Just things like that.
I say growing up was really strict. Well, before I start, I just want to say, like, growing up, I did grow up around a lot of elders, a lot of fluent speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I lived in Ontario and also when I lived in Quebec. But one of the things about those elders is they all went to boarding schools.
Mm.
They all got abused, they got beaten. And so, like, living amongst them, that's what they did to me too.
Yeah.
They abused and they beat me.
Yeah.
So like people see me, I learned language from elders, I learned culture from elders. But that's not also what I learned from them. I learned all that abuse that they gave me as well.
Like their pain in a way.
Yeah. So for me, like that intergenerational trauma. So for me, what I have to do is, for my kids, I gotta pass on the language and culture, but not the abuse.
Yeah.
So that's what they like. Whenever you hear someone say like, you have to end intergenerational trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like all that ugliness that's given to us. Like, we gotta like stop that with us.
Yeah.
Just give the good stuff to our kids along. So that's why like nowadays when I hear people, they'll be like, man, I wish I grew up with elders. Sitting on the fire, like learning from elders, language and culture.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, no, you don't. Because they don't know like how strict it means it's gonna be. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They just have a stick and just hit you real hard or something.
Yeah. Because like my thought is like, obviously I never grew up with elders. Like just assuming you were maybe like 8 or 10 years old, and they were still like in their 30s or 40s. They were still growing up, trying to figure out how the world works still, and like why does the world hate them? Yeah. And that's pretty huge. Like that's a vital moment to grow up in. Like like you're never not growing up. Even if you're like well into your elder status. I feel like Yeah. That's just pretty crazy to think about, because like I've never grew up with my elders. So it's like a different side of the hedge to think about.
Yeah, I mean nowadays elders will be kind, because what happens nowadays, you have a bunch of like, I guess people who just grew up not nowadays, and you have one elder.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens, that elder will be kind and respectful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like if you're a child growing up with elders, yeah, like the elders like will be more dominant and like they're gonna show like their ugly side.
Yeah.
But if it's like a bunch of like regular people in one elder, yeah, the elder will be kind of respectful.
Yeah. Do you have any like good stories or any like wicked stories of your upbringing with that?
And just all kinds of listening to all their stories, like stuff they witnessed, things that they've seen, like spirits that they work with, their understanding of life. I don't know. It's just really fascinating listening to all of them talk. Well, I guess one thing that I see nowadays is whenever they like a lot of their spirit helpers, they don't look like a normal person. They look strange. They look scary. Like, I know when I was a kid, they would talk about this one like small being. I don't know. He's like this tall. He's all red and he's skinny. Sometimes he has horns.
Okay.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I remember when I got here, there's another elder named Larry Small. There was a guy who said he had a dream. There was this little red person. He thought it was a demon. But that's just because today's movies, in church, they teach you something has horns, or if they're red, it's a demon, it's evil, it's bad. But that Larry Small was told, no, it's not. He's a spirit that helps give names. That's what he told that guy. What was crazy, when I was living in the woods in Quebec, those elders, I heard the exact same thing. They talked about a little red being like that helped give names. But I mean, so I thought it was really fascinating. So I heard over there, and I heard over here in Minnesota. And then after, I remember hearing that from Larry Smallwood. He was talking about that to that guy. He said, "Don't be afraid of that being. He's going to help you give names to people." And then one time, one of my nephews, he came to me and told me a scary story he had. He said one time, like, he had a scary story. There was this little being, and he took all the kids in the basement, but he was just playing with them, having fun. But then I realized, oh, that was that little being. The reason why he was scared is because modern movies, where the church teaches you all these things.
Yeah.
That's why he was scared. But that thing wasn't evil. That's what he does. He helps give names.
Interesting.
I mean, just growing up, like you hear all these stories about all these beings with horns that live inside the earth. But the way the church tells you, everything inside the earth has horns and they're devils and they're demons. So you see the way things were manipulated.
Yeah, like those painted pictures of.
To keep us away from that. So when we see those, we see it as bad or evil, and we stay away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way our understanding gets manipulated. So yeah, that's what the church has done, and that's what modern movies has done.
That's pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah, manipulated understanding.
Wow.
Because I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stories about being inside the earth with horns, like those giant serpents. They have horns. Those water panthers have horns. There's even stories in Oshkosh Bay was native journal when those French missionaries came here and they were at Mille Lacs Lake and they saw the fish. The fish there had horns, and that's what the people at Mille Lacs told them. That that's how they are. That's how they look. They have horns. The fish have horns. And also, there's another guy in the too named William Jones. He has stories where he recorded elders. They saw like a massive sturgeon. I think it was in Lake Superior. And had massive antlers. So yeah, there's stories of like beings that have antlers inside the earth. But yeah, just because like today's teachings, they tell you that's bad. So I'm sure if like someone nowadays saw a being that had horns, they're like, oh, I saw a devil. All of a sudden, you see him on like TV.
Yeah.
Searching for Bigfoot, get all spooked out.
Yeah, so like, this is crazy how he teaches how to fear these things, but really a lot of these things aren't here to hurt us, but they're mainly here to help us.
Yeah.
You think that's why they're so they're very sparse, or you don't see them too much anymore? It's because modern day kind of scared them all away, or not scared them away, but just kind of taught us to kind of stay away from them, or don't call on them for help.
It's kind of like an appreciation thing too.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they're in a moment of appreciation, or they're not needed.
I mean, yeah, growing up, like, you guys ever heard the Seven Fires prophecy?
Sometimes.
Like,
No.
Vaguely.
Like, from what I've seen, the only thing people know is, like, I don't know, like, there's some paper somebody typed up of the Seven Fires prophecy. And, like, from that paper, that's the only thing that I hear people talk about, like, what they know about the Seven Fires. But growing up, I heard elders tell so many different, like, variations and their own understanding of the Seven Fires. And then one of the things I would hear elders talk about was they would say there would also come a time, like, when we would lose our language and lose our culture, that we would also lose our connection with the spirits. And that's why nowadays, like, when we try to work with the spirits, like, nothing really happens. We do ceremony, nothing really happens, because we no longer have that connection with spirits.
Yeah.
Like, nobody has it. No, like, nowadays, out of everybody I know, probably just my mom. And I don't know if any of my brothers, but I know one other person who works with spirits. Just one other person that's nobody else. But like, everyone's understanding of spirits just comes from TVs and stuff. Like, they see a black shadow, I run out there and scream real hard, Also on Facebook, I saw a black shadow in my house. But no, maybe a lot of times, like, growing up, when I would help my mom go fasting, whenever that person was done fasting, that's what I would see. Like, I would be like in a wigwam or whatever was outside of the fire. Like, I would see something standing, or there'd be a black shadow, and they would just boom, it would zoom by fast. And right then, I knew that person was done fasting. And all of a sudden, there's that person who come walking in the woods. So like the first time I saw that, like, I didn't know what to do. But now when I see that happen when someone's done fasting, I go right away. I get everything we need to prepare for that person when they're done fasting. So yeah, a lot of times when you see spirits, just, I don't know, try not to be afraid. But yeah, our perception of them really got manipulated and messed with. So like Hollywood TVs and movies.
Yeah, for me personally, I don't know. I know people say they don't like wish to see anything scary or anything, or like not scary, but I don't know. Ever since I worked at the Indian Center, people say they've seen some spooky ghost stories working here, and I'm like, I go to the basement every other day. And I'm like, all right, let's turn the lights off. I don't know. I just, me personally, like, I don't know. I'm the guy that's like not scared of them, but more appreciative of like being in the presence of like a spirit, or maybe like, I don't know. Maybe I get possessed one day. Who knows? It'll be scary, but You know, I've always just had like a comforting feeling, you know, with things like that. And when you were talking about how you know, interpret them, it just kind of gives me like another like reassurance of like how I should think of it, you know.
Yeah. So we're talking about like me growing up with elders, like just listening to them talk about spirits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but like this is like where I get all my understanding of like the way the spirits are, or how spirits help us.
Mm-hmm.
So nowadays everything's manipulated by Hollywood TV.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but not only that, like another thing, the way like fluent speakers, their sense of humor versus like English speakers' sense of humor. Like when we're born, there's like a story of like how we have to like when we're up there in Bogonegijic or in that Please constellation, or sometimes they call it the Happy Hunting Grounds in English. So like there's a thing we got to do to travel to get to the Gugunaji, that spider that watches the hole in the sky. So we get right here to the earth. Like there's things we got to do. There's a promise we got to make. And so like when I was a kid, that's what I would hear elders joke around with. They would say like a big elaborate story. Oh, like, when you came here to the earth, like this is the promise you made. You know, and they say like ridiculous things. And tease each other. Well, yeah, I mean that's just the way like I would see elders like tease people. Was they would just make some big crazy story up, you know, and that's how they would tease others.
Oh, like a build-up story to it, just a good joke.
Yeah, or just like say some bullcrap.
Yeah. Like, or you're like this, you're like, whoa, okay, because they're elder or whatever, you know. And just, they have the most funniest humor, I swear.
But yeah, but like growing up with elders, so like my sense of humor comes from them. Well, one of the problems that happened too, like I remember when I was in school and I was like playing with kids, and I was trying to be funny, so I was just telling you a big crazy elaborate story. But to them, they didn't understand me because there was like a cultural gap with the way they were born and raised versus me. And so when they heard me talking, they thought I was lying.
Oh.
And so they'd be like, "Oh, you're a liar," you know, and that's what they would just say to me.
Yeah.
So like most of my life, and a lot of those kids, they just know me as a liar, but I was just trying to say a big crazy story like the way I heard elders say. They didn't understand.
Kind of like a culture shock moment in a way.
So
Yeah.
there's like different like cultural understandings of like how we joke around and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why. I don't know. That's why nowadays, like when I was a kid, I was just quiet, like nobody understood me or anything.
Yeah. You kind of kept to yourself.
Yeah.
It was more safe that way, in a way.
Hey, now you're in good hands. You can tell me all your stories.
It's a safe place around this round table.
Go ahead.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I just want to say thank you all for watching us, watching our podcast. We got to know a lot more about Meme. Actually, real quick, what does Memegwesi mean?
Yeah, it's actually funny because I'm a big tall guy, so Memegwesi is those little people.
Oh.
It depends on where you're from. They could be little people, like, I don't know, 3 feet to 4 feet tall. But they could be like fairies as well. So yeah, so some people, Memegwesi is a fairy, or Memegwesi is like a 3-foot tall person.
You know, more you know. See, so we got to know a lot more about Meme, aka David. No, just kidding. But we got to know a lot more about Meme, and then
Sonny Metcalf signing out.
Oh, Jonathan. Hey, real quick though, make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe to us on all of our social medias. So this will be up on our YouTube, Facebook, probably some clips on TikTok and Instagram. But YouTube is Native Culture Language Arts Network, and our Facebook is Culture Language Arts Network.
And our TikTok is clan.maic.
So watch all those live streams. Actually, I'm the one who mainly sets up.
There you go.
Yeah. All the powwows, German dances.
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz.
The wizard behind the curtain.
Yeah. Well, I thank you guys so much, and see you next week. Our next guest will be
Dun, 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 dun.
Cheryl or Miko.
Cheryl Sicola.
Or Miko Sampson. All right, well, hey, thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time.